Around 10 years ago, a study published by the universities of Tampere in Finland and University of Aalto, which is also located in Finland, located the emotions in the body. The study was scientific under all regards. It involved 701 people, and they were all coming from different cultures, though they were mainly Chinese, Finns and Swedish to participate to the study. And what the study showed was something that we pretty much know already, that emotions have a specific way of incarnating themselves, of embodying themselves in certain areas of our body. But this video today is not necessarily about how emotions are located, but to understand my point, which would be completely different, that is to say, how Assyrians actually felt emotions, we need to go back to the study. So the study was saying something pretty straightforward, I think, to most of us. Even though nowadays we might have some difficulties in interpreting exactly where in our body we do feel certain emotions, it is true that when we feel, for instance, anger, it is the upper part of our body that is activated. Some of us may feel anger, for instance, in our hands, some of us in the face, or in general in the chest, some of us in the stomach, right? And it's that sensation that involves the upper part of the body that makes you more reactive and makes you respond to certain situations because anger is activated. But it is also true that, for instance, happiness is felt in general all over our body. For instance, we do feel happiness, especially in the upper part of our body. That would be butterflies in our stomach, the sensation of having a very open chest, for instance. We may feel it in our face, for instance, when we blush. We may feel it in our knees, right? To the point that in English there's the expression weak knee. And other emotions, the ones that are definitely more complex, either we are not able to locate them perfectly, for instance, disgust, whereas some of us may locate it in very specific and confined, restricted areas of our body. For instance, I would tell you that I do feel it in my throat. And I think that is pretty much related to the sensation of gag reflex, for instance, when somebody is vomiting, when somebody is sick. But the interesting part of this study is that what the scientists derived and concluded is that we do have a biological nature to our emotions, right? A biological nature that pushes us, that leads us to feel emotions regardless of our ethnicity and gender, pretty much in certain areas of our body. This study, though, seems contradicted by another study that has very little to do with scientific research on emotions and a lot to do with the history of Assyrians. And here we have to make a premise. The premise is that Assyrians were this population that invaded Mesopotamia. Nowadays we do call it Iraq, pretty much that area. But it was way more than just Iraq at the time. It was a very extensive, especially under the kingdom of a guy named Tiglath-Pileser, who conquered pretty much all Mesopotamia between 745 AC and 727 AC. And the Assyrians were leading mostly by being ferocious. They were absolutely cruel, and they did apply such a cruelty extensively and combined it with a solid, superior army. And that was not just a matter of propaganda, but that was pretty much a lot of that was actually how they ruled over such an extensive territory that would include, for instance, territories like Palestine. But the fun point here is that they would feel emotions, sometimes in the same areas where we do feel it nowadays, but other times in very bizarre body parts. For instance, as I said, if I tell you anger, nowadays, most of us would feel it in our hands, in our face, in our upper part of the body. But what the Assyrians would reply is that they did feel it in their legs. Now that's kind of weird, right? Because you don't normally feel your legs involved, unless you have to escape, to run away. So unless you are in front of a situation where you have to run for your life, you don't really feel, anger exactly in your legs. But they would tell you that anger was in their legs and primarily in their feet. And it would manifest as this heat sensation on the sole of your feet. Likewise, they will tell you that happiness was, yes, in the upper part of the body, but was specifically located in your liver. Now, if you think about it, in English, there's a word, an adjective actually, that is livid. When you are livid, you are full of resentment. You are, in general, angry. And that concept extends to other languages, such as Italian or Russian, where to express your feeling of being angry or being resentful, you would locate anger in your liver. But if you go to Farsi, the language spoken in Iran, to say I miss you, they will literally say Boko Haram, which translates as I will eat your liver. Now, even though they may look funny to you, actually what that tells us is that liver is an important organ, not only biological for our well-being, but also to process our feelings and emotions. And so the Assyrians, the ancient Assyrians, would say that when they were happy, their liver was simply bright. Actually, what they would tell you is Kabattu ne perdo. That is, indeed, my liver is bright. But there's more. There's more because not just happiness was, according to the Assyrians, located in your liver, not just anger located in your feet, located in the feet, but also disgust. Disgust was located in the shins, specifically in the calves. Likewise, pain, sufferance, was located in the armpits, and sexual arousal, my favorite one, was located, my favorite for the bizarre position, was actually located in the ankles. Now, some of this might have an explanation. For instance, being that they were warriors, primarily warriors, they must have been used, allegedly, I think, speculating on this, right? If we want to find a meaning to all of this, they must have been used to process and elaborate emotions pretty quickly. And what I mean by that is that if you are a warrior, right, and you undergo a series of battles and you have to save your life, you are exposed to a degree of violence that we are simply not. And so maybe feeling anger, resentment in certain parts of the body would help them, or might have helped them, to process those emotions more quickly, to suffer less from what we would call nowadays post-traumatic stress disorder. It was a way to rapidly get rid of negative feelings. At the same time, though, even this would make some sort of sense for the location of pain in the armpits and anger in the legs and specifically in your feet. This sort of explanation does not really apply to sexual arousal. I mean, at least I haven't reached the point where I can comprehend fully why sexual arousal would be in your ankles, or why disgust that I would simply locate in my throat would ever be located in my shins. But with that being said, we do not have at this point all the explanation, but this was the bodily map of emotions according to the Assyrians. Now it's your turn. Let us know what you think. Certainly, as somebody has suggested to me, this might have some connections with the meridians and the Chinese interpretation of emotions and feelings in our body, right? But let us know what you guys think. If you can come up with some sort of explanation that would explain at least some of these bizarre conclusions and some of these bizarre locations for our emotions in the body. And also let us think if it's not more convenient to directly change culture or adopt the culture that suits us best. I think that from now on, I'm just gonna say when I'm happy that my liver is bright and luminous, because I actually love this expression. Now, guys, with that being said, that's it. If you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. We'll catch up soon in a new episode. Bye!